I would like to start from the same issue that what about links between activities of business angels and social entrepreneurship. And I have such a question. Please raise your hands who participated in a World Cleanup Day. Okay, we have some participants. So in my mind, that's a good example of an event where we have 17 million people from more than 100 countries. And indeed, it's just a one-day social event, but it's a big, really grand social initiative. And around it, one can build many business ventures, because you have to do something with garbage. It's not enough to collect it. You have to utilize, you have to process it. But okay, maybe we now get some picture, and then we can go to more systematic presentation. Okay, so I focus on cooperation with investors. So indeed, I shall more speak about business angels, because my role also is to be on two rules. I'm entrepreneurship professor at the Estonian Business School, and I am also member of the Estonian Business Angel Network, EstBAN. But I don't speak about statistics very much. I think if you Google EstBAN, you can also find this statistical survey similar to the one done in Latvia on a website. Let me start with such a picture. In Estonia, everybody says that we created Skype. But what's the truth? Truth is, indeed, Estonians did some technology, but Scandinavia's commercialized. I guess in many creative industries, the question is also the same. Who does the creative products and who manages to commercialize it? And if we speak about commercialization, also for me, very important question is design. So I don't know what you think about Skype design. Is Skype something what you see as a design product? Any comments? Because a lot of design now is happening in online systems and on platforms. So design is not only something what you can just keep in your hands or what you can use as your clothes, or it's also what is happening online. And I think that's a very important point where maybe creative industries and also such connecting people with other people get together. And I don't 100% agree with the statement that Skype didn't change the world. I think it changed a lot. And now the problem is that young people are not anymore using Skype so much. They use Facebook Messenger. So maybe it's also something dealing with design a bit. Okay, how to get back. Also, as you see, computers are more and more managing our life. They are deciding, as they do in Facebook, what do we see and what we don't see. And also how long we see things depend very much on computers.
Was this one?
Yeah, yeah. Just if we go to the next one, maybe.
This or this?
Yeah. Okay, so no problem. I try to move on more rapidly. Maybe then computer will not discriminate me. So key questions for cooperating with investors. Still, I think this point of rapid growth and international vision is important. Even if we speak about social industries, social initiatives and creative industries. Also, is it something where we really have a real prototype, or do we need to do long-term research and development when we get the prototype? I guess in many creative industries still this prototyping is a very creative work, and it happens more rapidly than in medical research. And you don't need to test everything on rats at first. You can really address people. But there are also some tricky points. So when I made as a professor, I made as part of the Estonian entrepreneurship education program, I made such a research project where I interviewed many business angels and startup entrepreneurs. And one very prominent investor asked from me such thing that, so he said that, okay, if there is a very interesting creative industry venture, the question is, should I buy their art or should I become a shareholder? And his answer was that because they are so creative and they change their mind all the time, so I rather buy their art because I don't know what happens with team. Also, an important question is B2C or B2B. I have such a feeling, at least that Estonian Business Angel Network, we are now more optimistic about B2B investments. Why? To my students, I often tell such an example that imagine that Mark Zuckerberg would have been student of Estonian Business School. And definitely we have many nice ladies there. So he could also start by violating our privacy laws and uploading photos of nice ladies. But even if he would have better software than the original Zuckerberg, we don't have in Estonia more than 100,000 college students. So that was his advantage. So in this sense, in many cases, if you really want to become a global player, you are coming from a small country, it's very difficult to address the end users. So it's sometimes more easy to address companies. Bootstrapping and all raising money. Indeed, all this startup boom is around raising money first. But maybe in some cases for creative industries, just to go step by step and make some small profit, sell your products, then do more products, maybe it's also a good way. I am not saying that always such a business angel involvement is the best way. So you have to decide what is best for you, because it also influences which ownership stake you actually give away. Okay, now it again started some discriminative activities. Yeah, it's okay. So maybe later, indeed, when we have these pitches, we shall see what are your concepts, and then I try to figure out, do you really need a business angel, or maybe you need just a bank loan, or maybe you really are happy by bootstrapping. So that's a very important decision what one has to make.
What does bootstrapping mean?
It means you just don't raise any investor money. You just maybe use your own savings, and if you just step further, you make some small profit, you reinvest it. Actually, Estonian legislation is very good for bootstrapping because, you know, for many years in Estonia, reinvested profit is not taxed. So it's basically, we are an ideal country for bootstrapping if you make some profit. Now, what I would really like to promote, I don't know, do we have here any internet access? Let's try. Yeah. So let's see if it opens. Usually it doesn't show this picture, what it opens. Also, it's this problem with this PowerPoint settings might be, but let's see if we see the picture what is on the screen. So I recommend very much to think about Nordic Angel program, which is just now running. And it's a good program because you see, professors are not so rich, even in Estonian private universities. So it is more easy for me to invest 5,000 euros each year than to invest 50,000 euros each year. And in Nordic Angel program, you just, as investor, you invest 5,000 euros. There is a big consortium, and there is such a screening process of startups. Maybe we have in a long list 150 startups. Now we have come to a situation where we have selected 15 most interesting startups. Finally, 4 most promising startups are selected by voting. Voters are the investors who have invested this 5,000. Then the due diligence is made, and finally the winner will take it all. So maybe the winner will get some 180 or 200,000 euros as investment. And we are all part of this consortium. In this sense, it's really something what is good to know. And there is a special software platform called Startup Includer, where this voting happens. And Startup Includer can be used also outside Nordic Angel program. Just you can upload your company profile, if you are a Latvian company also, and then you have to structure it, you have to show what market, what kind of team composition, some data, and then it is just information what business angels can use continuously to find some investment objects. Okay, let's see now if I can get back to the slideshow. You see, it's always, if you don't use your own computer, then configuration is very important issue, and PowerPoint tries to be very smart and decide things for the presenter. That's the problem. Now, typical doubts of international investors. These are based on also my participation in different pitching sessions and also partly on interviews in this research project, what I mentioned, where we made interviews with many startup venture team leaders and also with business angels. Now, key question is, has the founder team validated their idea internationally? So I think in many creative industries, maybe it's not so complicated to create the prototype. But you should, if you really want to demonstrate international growth, you should validate it also outside Estonia or Latvia. No, at least then maybe if you are from Latvia, you should validate in Estonia or vice versa. And this program is very good to do it where you are now. But then you should think about other countries. Next very important question, really about cultural impact. So if we have nice national costumes in Estonia, in Latvia, so what Portuguese will think about it? So if we can really find some common ground and enrich their habits, then it would be a really great thing. And many startup entrepreneurs don't just assess market potential realistically. I have invested to one company which has created a tool which helps you to flush your nose regularly, very easily. It's called Capster. And founder team, they are sure that 10% of European population would improve their quality of life if they really use this tool. Only problem is that how to convince 10% of European population. So that's the whole trick. So maybe I believe they might be right. I have also tried this tool. To be honest, I'm not regularly using it, but maybe I am not this 10%, maybe. But you see, 150 years ago, I think in Europe, many people didn't use toothbrush either. It's also an invention. It is not in medieval time. I don't think that peasants used brushing the teeth. It was not general practice. So Isla team committed for execution. I mean, for implementing, because indeed execution has very different meanings in English. And network, I already pointed out. So if you can demonstrate it today in your pitches, good answers to these questions, it would be really great. Okay, now some statistics, but not from Estban website, because we don't have enough time for this, and you can Google and find it out, but that is from this research. So here we tried to figure out are there any differences in mindsets. So, okay, if you can help me once more. Yeah. So the big idea here is that we listed certain fields of competence or skill fields, and then the question was that what is the priority? What's most important for you to understand? And we asked business angels to assess their own competencies and then the competencies what they would think entrepreneurs should develop. And what was the main competence? If you go up on the chart, then exit. How to sell their stake in right time. That was the key thing, but business angels thought they don't know exactly. Then the second was IPR, the intellectual property rights, and but their views were not the same for all angels. These were very much in online platform business. They said we can't do anything with just intellectual property rights, with patents. We just have to run more rapidly than our competitors. These who were more in hardware side, they were more optimistic about this intellectual property. Actually, I have also printouts of my presentation, so if you are interested to study these charts, you can do it, you can pick it up on the table. So because we are soon having a very important networking event which is called lunch, so I have to run further, and I really appreciate also some questions. So then next slide is about what entrepreneurs thought, startup entrepreneurs, what they should develop. Indeed, they thought that finding new markets and cooperation networks is important. So also, they thought that they should think how to enter stock market or how to enable exit for business angels. But business angels didn't very much agree with this. They said that how we exit, we shall figure it out ourselves. But they said you just should deal with such things as really testing the idea at the market. So once again, validating the idea. Then you should just develop your competence how to cooperate in a team. How to be happy, not only during develop the idea, but also during the execution. How to be happy, how to have good teamwork. And I would say my experience also shows that these are right words. So if I have to go a bit back maybe. Yeah, I have the first one, term test, is an interesting enterprise, but I have not invested to term test. But I have invested to these next 4 companies. Capster I already mentioned. It's about this tool to flush your nose. Then GuestJoy, it's about hotel customer relationship management, factories, how to find in industry right partners. And Digit is such an online whiteboard. And first, I would say, at least in one company of these four, team became problematic, but because two founders wanted to kick out the third one. And that has been the main headache for us during 1 year. And in one company, Digit, the person who was the leading lady got sick. And after that, the team doesn't perform anymore. And for this, I think Digit money is already gone. So these are the real things, and for this reason, I really have to think that I have to agree also statements which were given in this small research project. So my practical experience tends to show the same things. Okay, so now I think this charts show that one thing is really for startup founders and for business angels to come to the common ground, to have the same priority, and also to recognize in the right way knowledge gaps and learning needs of both sides. And that's not always very easy, because we often know what others don't know, but we often don't know what we don't know. So that's the tricky thing also in the startup process. And now maybe I'm quite close to my conclusions based on this research project. So entrepreneurs stressed really self-development, finding new markets. In this way, they are on the same ground as business angels, but maybe this validation thing was more stressed by business angels, really validation, not just declaring that 10% of European population is our market. Then also the issues that are related to how to find new investors and enabling sales of the corporate stock, and here a bit different views were presented by business angels and startup people. But now, before I exit, please ask questions. So what are your emotions or...
Any questions?
Or maybe somebody has some good example of a creative startup and would like to get some hints how to prepare for a pitch session.
Yes, maybe how much do you evaluate the PowerPoint and the numbers in the presentations? Or is it okay with just a story for 2 minutes?
Yeah. For me, well, when I started to be involved in Estonian Business Angel Network maybe 3 years ago, I just visited many pitching sessions. And there were attempts to describe this market, let's say, in the same way as I just gave example that, okay, in Europe we have so many inhabitants, then 10% of these people have some chronic nose problems. And then the logical implication is that's our market. But then the trick is that it's not the real market, because people always don't recognize their needs. So I would say now I have become more critical about such non-validated numbers, which are based on such statistical tricks. So if somebody really has demonstrated that there are 3 different types of customers, and they have really validation-based evidence what these people like and what still has to be developed in this prototype, that would be more valuable information. I could trust it more than such a very general market forecast.
Yeah.
Hello. What is the time when the investor with money comes inside? It depends again about project and the team and stuff. But what is normally the time when the money comes to bank account?
You mean in the startup life cycle or after meeting with the company?
After pitching.
Yeah. No, it depends how attractive is the business case. So I think if we are in market economy, and if investors understand that there is a high interest, and if there is even a competition to invest, then it can happen in a few weeks. If it's not so interesting, then some people go around and do pitching already 1 year before they get any money, or maybe they continue doing it for a second year. So it's not one answer, but I think we, at least both in Estonia and in Latvia, we have good infrastructure. So we have this startup includer where it's very easy to structure a proposal. We can sign many documents digitally. So such a technical readiness to come on the board. No, it really depends how attractive the business case is, and then it depends, is it attractive for these investors who really have free money? So that also is an issue.
When do you know when to stop bootstrapping? Because I know a lot of social and creative entrepreneurs that haven't even tried to approach an investor because they think they're not ready and they bootstrap, but maybe just trying it out, having the conversation, even as if Janis said, pitching once and maybe you have your next chance in a year, but still you've tried.
I think the need either to go on by bootstrapping, you can do it whole life, and then also maybe you will hand over this venture to your kids when they are a bit older. But to make such a decision, it actually depends. One is, do you really need some research and development money? Maybe before you can create a real product, what can be proven at the marketplace, you have to do some development work, and that's the reason why you need to raise money. Another option is that you have a prototype, but nobody knows about it. So in order to do such a very massive marketing effort in many countries, you need to raise the money. So there are two, in my mind, different situations. And if you don't have any of these two reasons, then why to give away stake in a company to somebody? And if you have, you are completely sure that your venture will fly, and you have some own house, or your parents have your house, then you can just go to the bank and raise the money and pay interest, which is very low now still. Why then to just share your cake with investors? If you are 100% sure that is a great thing what you have created, so, and you have real estate, and by the way also from business angel point of view, don't put all the money to one basket, or eggs to the one basket. For instance, the general advice is that business angels should not invest to such risky activity more than, let's say, 20% of their financial assets. And I have some Google shares, because Google is not anymore startup. And by the way, the best investment I have made after the collapse of the command economy is I bought one flat in Tallinn. And I rented it out to a cosmetics service. And 18 years, the same person has paid me rent each month. That's the best investment, actually.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your inspiration and also humor. And I think you'll have a line of people wanting to talk to you during lunch as well.